It's episode 109 of the Improv London podcast. I'm your host, Stuart Moses, and this week's guest is Tom Young.
Hooray! Yay! It's still weird for me that the theme tune doesn't happen automatically.
Yeah, I'm afraid you're seeing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Some of the magic happens in the room and some of it is added afterwards.
Yeah. I did enjoy Chris's live That's Improv a few weeks back.
Yes, do check out Chris Mead's episode. In fact, in a way, isn't every episode Chris Mead's episode? Because Chris Mead has been on this podcast more often than I have.
His viewing figures are through the roof.
How are you?
I'm very well. I'm warm.
Yes.
As we record this in the middle of Britain's heatwave.
Yes. And for those listening in the future, we can remember how warm we were.
Yeah. It's going to do well with this podcast. Every time you and I meet up, last time, in the middle of October, I was wearing just a t-shirt and we sat in a park in Birmingham. Today, we're sat in a hot office in central London. Our timing to the weather is extraordinary, Stu.
Yeah, I'm afraid I'm only, willing to meet you in the extremes of weather.
Yeah.
So,
I look forward to the Alaska Improv Festival edition that we do.
Tell me what you've been up to since I last saw you.
I've been keeping very busy. I've run a new... When did we last see each other? Oh, yeah, April at the British Improv Project.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. So I've run a new beginners course since then. Picked up, I think, 12 new members in my regular drop-in as a result of it.
Brilliant.
Who are all very good. And I'm having an interesting struggle of trying to work out whether that's because they're good or I'm a better teacher than I have been previously. 50-50.
Yeah, I'd say that's probably the odds on that.
So we've done that. I'm working on a big thing that I can't talk about yet, but I'll come back when that happens. And we're gearing up for another British Improv project, but that's always difficult at this time of year because everybody's away, and the last thing they want to think about is a retreat in November.
So, for those that don't know about the British Improv project, apart from the fact it takes place in November, tell me about it.
The British Improv Project is an improv retreat weekend that we have for the last two run in Melton Mowbray. But we have improvisers from around the country and all over the world, Stu. By which I mean one guy from New York and one guy from Berlin.
That counts.
Yeah, ticks their box. It's fine. I think we get a grant. So the last couple of events has been somewhere between 50 and 60 improvisers in a hotel in Melton Mowbray, spending 2.5 days doing various improv workshops and shows and discussion and networking and an awful lot of drinking. Yeah, it's good.
I can confirm that it is good.
Oh yes, you came to the last one. Yeah,
well, that was just me yesing. I had an and there. I do apologise. Yes, and I would encourage people to come along. One of the things I found particularly interesting was that I met a lot of people that I hadn't met before.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to see what was happening in the world of improv outside London.
Yeah, it's quite Midland-centric. Not hugely. It's becoming more and more expensive. There's a group from Totnes and a group from Sheffield and Lancaster, I believe, are coming to the next one, and Cheltenham are big. But yeah, certainly it's London light.
Yes.
Not by design. Please come if you're from London.
I think the two people from London, myself and Tom Hodge, neither of us live in London.
Yeah.
So
and Rachel Thorne, who used to be London, now in Sheffield. It's like we can only have Londoners provided they're willing to move out of London first, apparently. So
if someone came along, what sort of things can they expect on the weekend?
Well, we start with there's an introductory kind of level of workshop on the Friday night. So there'll be there's usually 4 different workshops happening at once. That varies dependent on numbers, but there's usually a beginners thing. There's a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, and a level 4, and each one is something just to get you eased into the weekend, basically. So that's Friday night, followed by a triple jam. So the last one we had a short form jam, a long form jam, and a musical montage jam. I think the short form jam is getting replaced with something else this next time. There's ongoing discussions between Jeff and I as to what it's going to be. Somebody said in the feedback that they'd like a comedy sports style versus teams kind of a thing as one option.
That's interesting.
I also thought yeah.
Sorry, I slightly screwed up my face there. I realised. I don't think I fancy that.
Yeah,
I'm fine.
No, I'm not even sure how I'd make it happen. And I was also thinking about maybe doing like a teacher jam, so there'd be anybody who wants to play with a teacher, they can say which teacher they want to play with and what they want to do, and then we'll put it in. But
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Why? Genuinely.
Because sometimes you go to a jam and you go, oh, I really hope I get to play with this person.
Oh right,
and you don't, because it's random, and it doesn't come out the way you want it to. So I thought it might be nice to have something where you would be guaranteed a quality scene partner.
One of the many disappointments of the jam is not getting to play with the person that you wanted to play, or people that you wanted to play with.
Yeah,
that's an interesting idea.
So I thought that might work, but there's still 4 months for me to actually make a decision. And it's improvised; I could change it on the night as well. So yeah. So that's Friday.
Yeah.
Saturday there's another 3 workshop options. So there's two workshops in the morning, then lunch, then another one after lunch. Then there's some free time, which is usually when people nap because they drank too much the night before and it's caught up with them now.
Or in my case, record a couple of episodes of the Improv London podcast.
Indeed. We're basically just like some weird agent for you now, where you just bring improvisers to one convenient location and you go, oh, I'll record these people. We then had a group discussion after free time where we talk about whatever issues we feel need discussing. I think the subject for the next one is going to be what makes a good teacher. And that may run hand in hand with what makes a good student.
That's really interesting. I find that high idea of having a sort of an improv debate a really interesting one.
Yeah.
And what makes a good teacher is something that I'm really fascinated by. So I really look forward to hearing what people have to say about that.
Yeah. And I'm hoping that'll be a slightly lighter subject than some of the recent ones. We've got quite heavy, the group discussions in the last 3 events or so. And then there's dinner, and then we have a great big massive jam in the Saturday evening where everybody's name goes in a box, and that one is completely random. That is, you get offered a game or a scene, and that's pretty much the extent to which there's any variation in it. And then Sunday there's another 2 workshops, and then lunch, and everybody goes home.
Brilliant. Well, that sounds fantastic. Yeah. Well, I mean, it is, because I've done it. Yeah. I'm employing a device here where I'm, pretending not to know, but I have been.
If you want to listen to Stu talk about it as though he's not been, listen to episode 79 when I pitched it last time before Stu had come.
And that was when I was convinced to come along. So you don't have to appear on as many podcasts. Just get persuade every host one by one.
Barely 40 episodes of this podcast between my appearances. And I'm already back plugging it again. There'll be people all over the Midlands going, again? While in London everybody going, who? I know my demographic. Yes, because you did my musical workshop at the last one, didn't you?
Yes, and I think I've spoken about this on the podcast before, but never let it be said I'm afraid to repeat myself. And the way I justify it to myself is that I don't expect everybody to listen to every podcast. But yes, the short form musical game of the Cell Block Tango from Chicago is officially my new favourite. Probably my new favourite thing in improv, actually.
Yeah. It is a lot of fun. Well, you did a thing that I'd never seen done before as well, which made me laugh so much. Where there's a degree of which you have to, play the character and milk it as you get up to deliver your monologue about how you killed someone. And Stu got up and I
milked it hard.
Didn't say anything. He was just giving great face to the audience. And I just was, because from the back, went, I dare you to sit down and not say anything. And he did. Laughed my head off.
Yes, if you ever get a chance to do that, that was yes, that's my favourite, probably my favourite thing in improv.
Yeah.
So
it's tricky to do at any given time because you need 4 other people who've done it and a pianist who knows how to play it.
It's very, very rare that the stars are right.
Yeah.
But when they are,
it's a rare treat.
It's a rare treat. Yes. Would you like to plug something else?
Yeah, I suppose. I've come all this way. I might as well. So the Same Faces, we've been running just over 5 years. We had our 5th birthday in April. And we did 1 show for about 4 years. And then we've done 2 shows for a year. And now we're bringing in a 3rd show into our regular Leicester roster.
Right.
Which is going to be called The Same Faces, Different Voices, where we are having guest groups come and headline. The idea of it was that because as I said before, my workshop program is expanding to the point where I've got a lot of players and at the moment not enough performance slots to put them in. So I needed something else as a way to get people on stage. So Different Voices is going to run where the first hour will be a version of The Same Faces that is not at our other 2 shows. So it won't be the same short form team and it won't be the same Armando team. It may be, for example, our all-female short form team, which I'm currently in the process of forming. Name pending. All of our spin-offs are going to be some version of the Something Faces.
Right.
And we're struggling.
The Lady Faces.
Well, Lady Faces was the first one I thought of, but quite rightly, everybody has gone, yeah, I don't think so. The girls themselves want to call it the Resting Bitch Faces, but my problem with that is nobody's going to think that I didn't come up with that. And I don't want to be in the position where it looks like I've named the group the Resting Bitch Faces.
That is very funny.
It is very funny, and that is a reason to do it. There's 1 tick in the plus and 1 tick in the minus so far, I think.
I am slightly concerned about it from a marketing point of view.
Me too, yeah. I thought the made-up faces was quite clever.
Yes.
Statistically more likely to wear makeup than any male-heavy version of the two.
And of course the things they do on stage are made up.
Indeed, yeah.
Makeup. Yes. In my head, that was a lot better explanation than it was. Yeah. Well, I'm not here to solve your problems.
No. We'll work on it. I've got time. So that'll be 1 version. We're also working on Harold's, but that's got a lot of moving pieces, so I don't think that's going to be ready by the time it starts in September. I've been teaching montages to my new group, so that might happen. We've got some ideas for narrative shows. There's a lot of balls in the air and only me doing things, and therefore it'll be chaos. But yeah, we'll get there. So we're having groups come up because basically the Same Faces are Leicester's improv scene. Same in Northampton, really. There is no other group but us, and therefore the improv scene is quite narrow. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to start expanding the types of group that people are aware of. So while we will predominantly be going for more comedy-heavy improv groups, certainly to start with, while I build up the awareness of the genre. So the first group are going to be the Committee. They're headlining our September show. Musical are doing October. Rhymes Against Humanity aren't confirmed yet, but they're my waiting for confirmation for November. So we've got those sort of different shows. So they're all shows that do something different to what the Same Faces do.
Right. Yeah.
That's my main thing. So they'll do the second half. They'll do 45 minutes to an hour in the second half. We'll have done something in the first half, and hopefully everybody will love it, and everybody will think we're wonderful. So
sure that will be the conclusion.
Yeah, it's also a good opportunity just to bring groups up from London and other parts of the country that people in the Midlands don't usually see. So I'm hoping other improvisers from across the Midlands will come over to watch the shows. Some of them, certainly musical. I can't remember whether the committee have agreed to or not. We're going to have a workshop day with them the following day.
Lovely.
So because again, it's stuff that I don't do with the Same Faces. I'm in no position to teach it, so we'll get them to do it while they're here.
Yeah.
That'll be nice. It's going to be a nice way of expanding our output.
Yes. Brilliant.
Yep, so that's happening. What else? So September 21st, do come and do come up to Leicester and see it. It'll be at Brewdog. It's going to be delightful. Uncle Armando starts back up, although we're moving that to a new night because we've been on Mondays and we're moving to Wednesdays.
Why are you moving from Mondays to Wednesdays?
Ticket sales.
Monday, not a night for going out.
No, as it turns out, no.
Fair enough.
Yeah, we've. I think I talked about this last time I was on because we have a stand-up comedian come and do our monologues. So we pay them a fee to come up, and oh boy, is that gig struggling to break even based on that. So we've. It started on Monday because that was the night one of the founders could. He wasn't working Mondays basically, so he could do it. But now he's left that job and he's somewhere else. We've suddenly got more days of the week available to us. So Wednesday is apparently the venue's big ticket night. So we went, oh, we'll have that, thank you. Yeah, that's going to be the second Wednesday of the month. Our short form show continues the first Saturday of the month in Leicester and the last Saturday of the month in Northampton. Yeah, that's pretty much everything that's keeping me rushed off my feet at the moment.
Cool. I feel I should ask you about SmackDown.
Yeah.
What's SmackDown?
SmackDown is a show I inherited from, well, they were Foghorn Improv at the time. They're Foghorn Unscripted now. Kit Murdoch,
Yes.
you've had on, I believe. She used to run it, but when they decided they weren't going to do short form anymore, sorry, I should explain what the show is before I start talking about it. It's basically it's an improv show masquerading as a wrestling show, or vice versa. I'm not sure which. So we basically have 8 of the best improvisers from around the country. They come and face off against each other. They're scored by the audience. They get to pick one game that they're in. They also get to pick one game that they're not in, which is sometimes the more popular option. I really don't want to do hoedown. No problem. Okay. Yeah. So they come. We get people from different parts of the country. We try and get 4 men and 4 women each time. Previous champions include Thomas Lawrence, who's one of the same faces. He won the first one when I took it over. Will Name was the second champion. Charlie Gascoigne's the most recent one. Many of these people you've had on the podcast. Yeah, so they then get invited. The champion gets invited back to defend their title the following year. And we do it in the Leicester Comedy Festival each year. So it's usually on the last night of the festival. So it's a nice end point. The last 2 have sold out, so that's been pleasing. Yeah, so we adopted it from Foghorn because they had run it for a few years, and they were switching to just long form. And they weren't going to do short form anymore, and so they were saying, "Well, we'll stop doing SmackDown." And I went, "Well, hang on, it's quite a good format. Do you mind if I carry it on?" And they went, "Oh yeah, no, be our guest." Right. So I've run the last 3. I don't know how many years Foghorn did it before that, but it's been a lot of fun, and it's nice. It's been a nice way of meeting other improvisers because I pretty much just put a call out in the UK Improv Network group on Facebook saying, who wants to come and compete? Could you be one of the 8 best improvisers in the country? Yeah, so it's been a lot of fun, and we've met people who've then come and played with us at other times, and expanded my ever ongoing quest to unify the UK improv scene into one big happy family.
I think that's a really good goal.
Yeah.
I think
it's because there's so many. Because again, it can be quite London-centric to a certain degree, where you see posts and it's all stuff going on in London. And I always think, well, if I was up in Newcastle or wherever I'd be going, I'm not very likely to get to any of that. So I'd like to try and put things in the middle of the country that people can come and take part in.
Yeah, and I think what unites us is far greater than what divides us.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And I found that when I came up to Melton Mowbray for the British Improv Project, is that, there were a couple of people I met before, but the majority I hadn't. But there was a sort of a shared understanding of how to operate, even if, some of us love short form and others love long form. But it's all the same thing, really. It's all just making stuff up.
The basic rules are the same.
Yeah.
We've all got tattoos with yes and on them. I do not have that tattoo, by the way.
I don't have that tattoo either.
Somebody I know does, and I can't remember who it is. But anyway, I was thinking what would be quite good is to get that tattooed, but in Braille. So it wasn't quite as overt.
In Braille?
No, yeah, so just like the dots, so you know what it says. You're not be able to run your hand over it and go, oh, that clearly says yes hand. But just as a more subtle...
I prefer it as a sort of a talking book, sort of. Because they talk about accessibility. Yeah. Not everyone can read Braille, but everyone can listen to a talking.
Yeah, I'm fascinated that you want tattoos in audiobook form. That's a nice idea.
I just want someone behind me going, yes, and.
There's somebody walking behind you going, he loves his mum.
No, what I really want is somebody just saying, you're doing really well, Stuart. Everything is going to work out.
If it helps,
fine.
I can record that on your phone. It could be your message alert.
I'll just play it when I'm feeling sad.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Tom. I wonder if he's got a message for me.
You're doing really well, Stu. Everybody likes you. I don't know why I said it like Marley's Ghost.
Well, so the first improv show I ever did, I had a really... I thought, I'm handling this fine, I'm handling the nerves fine, this is all entirely fine. And I had a really bad, really bad headache on my right temple all day at work. And because I thought, I'm handling it fine, but obviously all the stress had gone to this part of my head. And I just listened to guided meditations all day while I was at work. And having someone in a calm, soothing voice telling you that everything's going to be all right. You're doing really well, Stuart. I have very specific guided meditations that I listen to.
Tailored for you.
Yeah, I mean, it takes a long time for them to do all the meditations with all the names, but it's worth it.
It's not like those automated messages where it's like, you're doing very well,
Stuart. I mean, that's what it's like when I record my name over it.
Yeah.
Yes, so I would like that. Just if people want to come up behind me. I don't know. That's cool.
You want to be careful with that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of improvisers listening who will sit behind you at shows.
Just say something reassuring.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, we could give that a try.
Yeah. That's the one thing we know about improvisers is they do enjoy a game of the scene. So if you present them with one that obvious...
I mean, I don't know. Come up and say nice things to me. I'm happy to put that message out there. If people want to do that and make it a game, I'm on for that.
An excellent heightening exercise. See how elaborate you can make your encouragement to Stu.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I'm on board for that at the moment.
Yeah. Talk to me 3 months into it, and we'll see how you're doing.
I'm just really positive. Yeah. What is the best or worst note that you've ever been given? And did you take it? I
mean, I always enjoy Jules Munn's when we act with loose arseholes. I never tire of. I genuinely think about that about once a month. Just because I enjoy the voice, I think, as much as anything. But yeah, I very rarely get any notes these days because I'm mainly the person teaching. Right, so it's only really at the British Improv Project weekends where suddenly I'm at other people's mercy and I'm going, oh God. But it's feedback's good. Yeah.
So when you're teaching, what's the most common note that you give people?
At the moment, especially with the beginners I've been teaching, it's been make you a scene about the relationship, not the thing.
Yeah.
Because we get a lot of scenes, and your word is pineapple. What's this pineapple doing here? No. Aside from the fact you've started with a question. So you've got to try and train people to make it about the relationship. So yes, that's been my refrain line certainly in the last 3 months, I think. Trying to think if there's any others that I say on a regular basis. There definitely is, but right now, any of members of my workshops are listening to this, shouting at their podcast feed, and going, "Tom, you always say that." Oh yes, I do. That's right.
Well, please do tweet at Improv London, and I'll retweet them, and that will be a lovely, lovely thing.
Yeah.
And are you able to watch improv or comedy in general? Because I know you also do stand-up. Are you able to switch off the part of your brain that analyses what's being done and enjoy it? or do you enjoy it by analysing it and breaking it down?
I mean, both is the short answer to that. I mean, stand-up is an odd one because I can generally, assuming somebody's following the rules, I can usually guess the end of the joke before they get there. They get there, I go, okay, I see where you're going, because it's the same sort of moves each time. So you get to a point as a stand-up where you know how a joke is constructed. With improv, I find myself an increasingly difficult audience member. And I try and be supportive, and I will force myself to laugh out loud. But there is a lot of yes, yeah. I see what you did there. Yeah, I mean, I went to see Box of Frogs on Sunday night in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And I mean, aside from the fact they did my least favourite improv game of all time.
What's your favourite least improv game of all time?
I mean, you literally just had to repeat that and you still muddled the words.
Yeah. Well, because my thought was, is it Storyteller Die?
No, it's not Storyteller Die.
Oh, because...
Chicken Die is...
Yes,
yeah.
We should explain what Chicken Die is. Cause...
Chicken Die came out of a British Improv Project workshop on creating a short-form game, which basically was just take an existing short-form game and change it into something else, where you basically have to perform Story Die, but everybody is a chicken. So you throughout it you have to be going and all sorts of chickeny noises, and standing like a chicken with your arms in the
chicken position.
Chicken position. Yeah, there's no other way of saying that, I suppose. And the advantages over Story Die is that obviously you have to wait for somebody to make a mistake. In Chicken Die, you can kill them for any reason at all at any given time by shouting KFC at them, and then they have to die in an extremely elaborate chickeny way.
I mean, I think that's my least favourite short form game. But that version, okay,
brings it to life.
That's right.
No, my least favourite is Here Comes Charlie.
Here Comes Charlie.
Yeah. So you have two players on stage. The way Box of Frogs did it, they had people write characteristics on pieces of paper beforehand, and you get the two people on stage are reading these things out, describing Charlie.
Right. So
you go, oh, Charlie, he's got that limp, and he always winks after every sentence, or whatever it is. And so it's basically just a pimping exercise.
Yeah.
And then Charlie comes on. The third player comes on as Charlie. But I hate it, for the pimping element of it, because that's all it is. It's not like you ever get into anything meaningful with it afterwards. And the other reason I hate it is because you can only ever meet expectations.
Right.
The best you can hope for is to do what you've said. You can go, here's 5 quirks about Charlie. Charlie comes on and he does them, and the game ends. There's nowhere to go beyond those handful of characteristics. So yeah, that's my least favourite improv game. They did it as well as you could hope to do it. I'm not criticising Box of Frogs. I'm just specifically criticising that game. Yeah, I did at other points through the show find myself going, oh, I should probably have laughed there.
Mental note.
Yeah.
Should have laughed there.
Yeah, I do seem to be. I mean, maybe the less supportive part of me, maybe it's the stand-up part of my brain, finds it funny when things go wrong.
Well, yes, but I mean, I like to think that's not laughing at other people's misfortune, but
no.
It's the surprise, and it's like, okay, this genuinely is improvised, because that's
it's the human moment in the otherwise polished performance. So by way of an example, in their last game they did a charity single, or charity. Is it charity single the name of that game? And they asked for a profession, and I managed to get in first with lepidopterist. And then watched John Trevor very skillfully explain what a lepidopterist was for the benefit of the players. I was like, fair play. So I find that funny when you can tell that when somebody knows that their players are not going to know what the thing was that you've just said. I find it very funny to watch it be explained to them. I think Ostentatious did. They did a DVD recording with Go Faster Stripe. And I think the show they did is called Innocence and Indolence or something like that. And you can tell half of the cast have just gone, and what's indolence? And it literally, the first line of the thing when it starts is somebody basically giving a definition. I'm like, oh, I love that.
That is a lovely thing. My least favourite improv game after Storyteller Die is that one where you go something like 38 somethings walk into a bar.
Oh, yeah.
How does that go?
So I've seen various groups do different versions of it. So the version we've done is 188 somethings walk into a bar.
Yes.
And you have to do some pun based on whatever the object is.
Yeah, I can't do that.
I also just was in Florida and I saw a group there do it as just 99. I was like, you see, you guys aren't trying.
Yeah, that's right. Or it's something like, I have 188 dentists walk into a bar and they... See, I'm just illustrating the fact that I can't do it. I can't think about anything about dentists. They said, give me a beer and don't be a pain. This is
188 dentists walk into a bar, and the first one goes up to the bar and says, "Can I get a round of that pink drink, please?" Some version, some terrible joke that references things dentists do. That's basically the trick of it. It's the same principle as Sex With Me is Like, or World's Worst, or
and I can do none of those things because I can't think of anything to do with dentists.
Yeah, it's a completely different skill to improv, but it's one the same faces do in two different forms. So we have an advert version where you get a list of adverts and then you basically do one-liner adverts to sell them, and then we also have Scenes You'd Like to See, which I think I talked about last time I was on, which is basically scenes from a hat, but we've got some structures that we can follow so that. We've got some control over how it's going to work, and it's quality threshold more than anything. But yeah, it's a different mindset. The way I do it is I sort of, in my mind, do a spider diagram of everything I can think of related to the subject.
Right.
And then look for, there's a second spider diagram running, so you for 188 things, you'd have all things about dentistry, all things about bars, and then where do those pieces click together?
Whoa.
Yeah, I'm faster than that now. Now I can pretty much just go that and that. But when I teach people how to do it, that's pretty much what I say is you want to be doing those two spider diagrams in your head and then see what fits together into one joke.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, you hate mind melds.
Oh yeah, really hate mind melds.
Which we talked about last time.
Really hate mind. There's a lot of things I love. I should talk about more things I love, but I hate mind melds. To be fair, I'm pretty good at them because I find that's the quickest way to get it over with and on to something else. Yes, anyway. I don't know, sometimes when you do too much of something...
Yeah, I discovered when we last spoke, where we talked about mind melds, and then I went to the British Improv Project in November, where we had a Harold practice session on the Sunday morning. And we did a mind meld, and John Trevor led it, and he did mind melds completely differently to how I do them, and I've realised that I think I found an easier way.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, oh, okay, well, that's different then.
What's your way of doing mind melds?
So we look for a word that connects the two words.
Yes.
But more obviously, perhaps, than some groups do. I think some groups try and say a word that sounds like halfway between the two words or something.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
Don't do that. That's
and
wrong.
also it tends to be a bit faster, whereas we take half a second to think about what you're going to say.
Right. Okay.
And also there's a degree to which once somebody has shouted one and stepped in, you go, okay, what are they going to have said?
Yes.
Rather than just say whatever blindly you thought you were going to say. Because I look at the players who I've played with for a long time now and go, you're not going to say the thing I thought of. So,
I think that the refinement that you've got there of knowing the person you're doing the mind meld with enough to know how their mind works is actually something that I've not really thought about before.
I think that is actually the point, though. The whole point of a mind meld is to build group mind.
Yes.
And to start to understand how the members of your group think.
Yes, I don't think it does that.
Okay.
I think there are better ways.
Oh, yeah.
Of
sitting in the pub with a pint is,
yes.
frankly, a better way. I'm very big on you need the social aspect for your group as well as just turning up and rehearsing. You need to actually, like each other.
Yes.
It's tremendously helpful.
And when you know somebody in real life, you can then pull in things that you know that they're passionate about,
Yeah.
or just.
And also you just get a better sense of their general knowledge.
Yes.
And like so for our Armando show, which will rely on people getting an idea quickly, I can usually look down the line of the other 7 players and go, I'm going to need you because you're going to understand what I'm going for. Yeah, I mean, we literally do a 3-hour workshop and then we'll stay in the pub for an hour.
Yeah.
Because it's like you'd think you'd have had enough of each other by that point, but nope.
I'm not good in. I don't have enough brain power to A, have an idea, and then B, know who will be good at that idea. I find that.
Do you play with? How often do you play with the same group of people from that perspective, though? Because I mean, the same faces are pretty much. We are the group.
Yeah.
And we're together a lot, and we don't play with other we do play with other improvisers, but we don't play with constantly changing lineups or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, when I do Dr. Two-Prof with Bryn, it's always Bryn, so I know I have to choose him because it's a duo, so that makes it a bit easier.
Yeah, takes the pressure off. Plus you go, will he know about Doctor Who? Well, I hope so, because we're doing Dr. Two-Prof.
No, my favourite thing is to put... Bryn's warned me from doing too many deep cuts because he feels it'll alienate people.
Yeah.
Much as when I wanted to call the group Sidrat Stories, he did feel that a reference to the war games would be a little bit niche.
It's going back a good few years.
Going back a few years.
47, maybe? Something like that. We used to do... One of our structures for Things We'd Like to See used to be lines you wouldn't hear from, or deleted scenes from a TV show.
Yeah.
And I had to get rid of it in the end, because one of the things I was finding was there just weren't enough TV shows that everybody knows. So we had one gig where it was deleted scenes from The West Wing, and the 5 of us on stage were dropping some truly excellent West Wing references, and the audience, and except for the one bloke who'd said The West Wing, the audience were going, what's this now? Yeah, it was. So I literally stopped the game and went, yeah, none of you have watched The West Wing, have you? Yeah, so sometimes it's tricky that with deep cuts where you go, you need everybody to be on the same level. If you went and played like Gallifrey 1 convention in America, you can say what you want.
Yeah. That's very much. Well, but then I would be worried that I don't know enough.
Yeah, that's my fear about doing conventions or whatever. Is like, oh god, because I did a stand-up show. My second stand-up show was all about nerdy stuff, and somebody was trying to pitch me going to do it at a convention, and I went, yeah, but they'll all know more than I do.
And sometimes it's hard to recall.
Yeah.
Especially when you're improvising and you're on stage. Off stage, I might easily remember. Braveheart, Tegan, and whatever. But I might, when you're on stage, it's there, but sometimes it's not.
Yeah. I find that's true for life. Sometimes it's there, sometimes it
isn't. Right, so last time you were on, we didn't get to ask these questions, so this
indeed.
time I will ask them.
Yeah.
If somebody steps on stage of you, what can they do to delight you?
So I think the answer to this is that they can top me. So if I've come out with a killer line, if you can top it, I will be thrilled.
I can't.
Yeah.
Just like I say, I can't.
Well, you say that, but sitting down in the cell block tango would have done it fine.
That's my one move.
Yeah.
That's a really specific. That's my signature move.
Yeah, you can probably do it once.
It's really specific for that game.
Yeah, but no, my mindset is I want the funniest thing said, and I don't care if it's me. I'm happy for somebody else to have said it. So as long as somebody says it, that's great. So I mean, Hannah, who's one of the new members of my Leicester workshop, we created these random characters. I think they were called Steve and Deirdre. She was definitely Deirdre. I can never remember what people call me. I think it might have been Philip. But we were being an old married couple, but in about 2060.
Right.
So all of our argument references were based around video games. So it was becoming like, Deirdre, you'll remind me of Mario Kart. Everywhere I go, I feel like you could throw a turtle at me at any moment. It's just really stupid. But it was going. This was not even on stage and anything. This was whilst we were having a curry last week, and we were just going backwards and forwards trying to top each other on absurd video game references. And we got more and more. Well, got more and more crude, bafflingly. but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Just as the pair of us both committed to character.
Yeah.
With a fork in hand. Oh, Deirdre. You'll remind me of Space Invaders.
In that any engagement with you, while fun to start with, is ultimately futile and will see me defeated.
Yeah, something like that. I think it was actually. Might have been when we got to our cruder point. And I think it might have been. It's been so long since you've invaded my space, or something not intellectual.
Yes, and it's really awkward. I don't think that's going to catch on.
Yeah.
Yes, and.
Yeah. Note to the improv community. Yes, and not going to catch on.
Well, yes, and I mean, yes, it works in the improv community, but I don't think it works as a bridging phrase on a podcast.
No.
Emily Brady's not going to use this on the Improv Treehouse.
Yeah, it's not going to become a catchphrase that if you do a live one, the audience are going to shout in between.
Yes, and yeah, he said it. He said the thing. He said yes, and.
Yes. Wouldn't that be amazing if improv got so big in this country that people were willing to just cheer any time somebody yes-anded something?
They don't say the phrase.
Yeah, don't
it's
even
just the
say
act
it.
of doing it.
Oh, yes, and
yeah. He took what they said and then he added something.
Yeah.
That day will never come.
Yeah.
Maybe it will, maybe it will.
Yeah.
What is your improv superpower?
Right.
I've renamed this question, by the way.
Yes.
Tom gave me a much quicker way of asking it. But to be honest, the old way of asking it is only that wrong because I'm giving people more time to think. Now I'm having to do this bit to give him time to think.
No, I know the answer.
He doesn't even need it. I'm just milking my partner.
I have two. I'm very good at connections. So I tend to be. I haven't done an awful lot of narrative long form, but I imagine when I get into it, I will be useful from this perspective. I remember all the plot strands.
Brilliant.
The things that are going on, and then I just go and tie that together.
Yeah.
So I'm good at doing that, which is also useful from if you're trying to do a comedy show. Making connections between the different things that are going on is excellent in terms of delighting an audience by going, I connected it all together. We did a scene in a workshop. We did a scene in a workshop which David, one of our group members, has made a note of in his phone to remind him every year. And it's in his phone under Tom made a funny. So every year he will get a notification on his phone for the rest of time to document this not that brilliant joke. But we were doing a scene which was basically about a murder, but all the characters were different types of furniture.
Right.
So I think it was like an ottoman had been murdered or something, and like the hat stand and the bookcase and things were all suspects. And I just came in at the end of the scene as a police officer. I went, I understand there's been a murder. I'm with the Bureau.
That's good, that's good.
Which is a delightful connection. It ties the two things we've got going together.
Yes.
So that's one of my superpowers. And then the other thing that I'm really good at, and it's sort of connected to that one, ironically, is I'm really good at finding buttons for scenes.
Yeah.
Just to round them off. Whatever the scene has been about,
Yes.
I can usually come in and do one line that ends it. Especially particularly useful if a scene's going on and on.
Yeah.
And you go in, there's no way to heighten ourselves out of this. How are we going to stop it? My thing is I will come on, tag out who I don't need, and give that one line that just sums it up.
Yes.
So in the last Armando show we did, I had a recurring bit which was basically me watching TV, where I did it 3 different times in the first half, and it was the first was like a bad spring watch thing that had been going on for a couple of minutes, and then I just got rid of everybody, sat down as I was watching TV, turned the television off, and went, BBC's really gone downhill since they cut the licence fee, and it just summed up the scene as this is now spring watch with less budget. And then there was another a bad space opera kind of scene, and then I did the same thing again. I went, Star Wars has really gone downhill since Disney bought it. And then I don't think I even said anything in the last one. I just turned the TV off and shook my head. By that point, the joke was well enough established. But yeah, finding those little buttons just as a way to go and scene that's my most useful contribution, I think.
Cool.
Superpowers.
I was waiting for you to provide a button to end the podcast.
Sometimes it's just a man going, superpowers.
Thank you for being a guest on the Improv London podcast.
Thank you very much for having me again.
Yay!
I made this.
That's improv!